What's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to do a question and answer. So I had several questions come in from Instagram. How long was it for you between making the decision to invest and actually securing your first house? So that's a great question. To be honest with you, I've always had it in my head that property investing is a great way to build wealth. I have a family friend who was a landlord. And I remember when we was young, we used to go to his house and he'd have a big house, and he used to live next to Ashley Cole or something. Basically, we used to go there, I'd see the big house, I could clearly see this guy's rich, seeing the car, seeing the house. I could tell this guy's got basically a mansion. I just asked my dad, how did he do that? And he'd tell me that he's been buying properties for years. He was always buying and buying, and he's a big landlord. That was another light bulb in my head. So from kind of when I was young, I was always thinking, okay, that person there, so it's making me think, right, I need to buy something. So I'd say it was always in my head. But then when I really started to action it, I was studying for probably 6 to 8 months and saving at the same time before I actually secured the first one. So the answer to the question is 6 to 8 months before I got the first one of saving and studying. Okay, next question. Are there any best and worst places to do HMOs in Nottingham? Okay, this is a very specific question. So I'd say, if you look at the map of Nottingham, all the city boundary is Article 4, meaning it's extremely difficult to create a new HMO. So I'd say if you buy a property that's a HMO already, so it's an existing HMO within the Article 4 area, then you should be fine in terms of demand. As long as it's a nice condition, the location is clearly good. That's why it's in Article 4, because it's near town, it's near the city centre. Even some areas like St Anne's and Sneinton, I believe HMOs will still work. So they are Article 4 as well. So areas which are known to be quite rough, or they were quite rough, they've actually improved dramatically. So I'd say all of the hoods of Nottingham are actually improving so much. Like when I was younger in school, people was getting shotgunned outside on the main road in Radford. Now I've got a few properties in Radford and it's actually really improved. The crime levels have gone down so much, and I think it's because the police really cracked down. So I'd say as long as you're in Article 4, make sure you have your planning permission in place, make sure you have your HMO license in place. But HMOs in Article 4 will generally really work well. Make sure you got big rooms and decent sized rooms, and that if they are smaller, make sure they're nice. You don't try and cram in an ensuite in a really small room. It's just going to look terrible. If you've got smaller rooms, then do communal bathrooms. But let's keep it to the question. Areas, I'd say you're pretty safe pretty much everywhere in Notts. But if you go further out, so you look at Top Valley and Bestwood, those are the two areas which, off the top of my head, I personally wouldn't invest in, just because they are pretty rough. They are still quite rough, and they're far away from town. Next question. How do you calculate the end value of a finished HMO? Firstly, it depends on how many rooms it has. So for example, if you have a 7, 8 or 9 bed HMO, that does significantly increase the value, because you can get something called a commercial valuation, meaning when you get it valued, they will actually come out there and they'll judge the value of the property based on the income it's producing. So it will generally be like a multiplier. So they'll say, right, how much is the property producing? And then they'll say, if someone was to buy it on an 8% yield or a 10% yield, how much would it be worth? So there's a few ways you can calculate it on that basis. So if it's a bigger HMO, like a 7 or 8 bed HMO, then all you do is you go to your calculator. Got the calculator right here. The way that I do it is you take the income that the property is producing. So say, for example, the property is giving you £38,000. So say the property is giving you £38,000 per year. You take the gross income, which is £38,000, and you divide it by what you think the end value could be. So say if you think it's worth around £380,000. So all you do is you go 38,000 divided by 380, then you times that by 100. So that's going to give you a 10% yield. So an investor would come along and buy something on a 10% yield. That means it will be worth 380. But let's say that you think you have a London buyer which is willing to buy something on an 8% yield. Then what you do is you take the rent, 38,000, you divide it by, say, a little bit more, so let's say £410,000, and then you times that by 100 for them. So that's a 9.26 yield. So a London investor, if they was to buy your property for £410,000, they'll be getting a 9.2% yield. So that's how you calculate the yield, guys. That's how I do it. Everyone has their own way of doing it and calculating it, but this is the way that I do it. So the end value of a HMO, of course, you can use multipliers like that, and you can work out roughly if someone wants to buy it at this yield, what it would be worth. The other way that you need to look at things is what else is sold. What other HMOs are sold within that area? Has there been any other HMOs that have sold recently within that area? And how much did they sell for? How much income was they producing compared to your income? If your property is producing a lot more than theirs was and it's a lot nicer, then obviously yours is going to be worth a little bit more. So yeah, that's that question. Do you think HMOs work in all cities? So I'm going to have a little bit of shisha for this one. The answer to the question is, I do not know. I'm specializing in Nottingham. I can only tell you what I've done, guys. I want to be known as the realest property guy on YouTube. So therefore, I'm never going to bullshit. I don't know the answer to that question because I've only done it in Nottingham. So yeah, from the same guy, this is from Rory Stevenson. Shout out to you, mate. Rent to rent versus HMO. You can do a rent to rent HMO. You can do a rent to rent serviced accommodation. So if we're talking about doing rent to rents versus buying a HMO, then I know which one I would go for is buying a HMO, because when you're buying properties, you're getting the long-term capital appreciation. So the property is going up over time in value and you benefit from that. So if you buy something for 100K and then in 10 years time, it's worth 200K, now the 100K uplift is all yours. Okay, someone's asked me a question. How many properties have I got in my portfolio right now? I want to be known as the most real property guy on YouTube. So again, I don't mind telling you, I've got 6 at the moment. I am getting 2 more. I'm supposed to be on the 10th of December. So that's the completion dates for the next 2. So that'll be 7 and 8. However, I might sell one of my properties to free up some more capital to then move it on to some bigger and better deals. So next question, where would you start if you only had 3 or 4 grand starting capital? I would say if you've got that amount of capital, keep studying, try and raise your income. So whatever your income is now, you need to try and raise that so you can then save more. Because I see a lot of people messing up by trying to save money when their income is very low or it's on the low side. So I'd say if you are not making that much money from your work, from your side hustles, from your business, from whatever it may be, from your job, then you need to look at how to increase that income and also save at the same time. So it's a balancing act. So in a nutshell, I'd say you need to increase that capital pot. So save up, but also if you can find like a training program which you think is a reasonable price. My one is very reasonable. It's around £600-700. Look for something reasonably priced, or you could just do coaching calls with people that are doing what you want to do. So if you really want to get into rent to rents, find a rent to rent guy and message him or girl, message them and try and get a coaching call booked in or pick their brain. With me, if you wanted to have a coaching session with me to increase your knowledge and ask me any questions you've got regarding HMOs, Nottingham, etc., I'd be happy to do a call. I do charge for that, but you can book it via my website. Link is in the bio. So if you've got 3 or 4 grand, maybe do a few small training and learning things, but the majority of the capital, save it and keep increasing your income so you can save more. Keep adding to that pot until you've got enough to do your own deal. So someone's came in, so Shanwin_James, shout out to you, mate. It's saying, I'm looking to study real estate. Where would you start if I was you? Okay, I'm not sure if that makes sense. Okay, I'm getting confused. So am I you? Are you me? I don't know. But whatever the case is, I will answer this question to the best of my ability. I'm guessing you mean, what would you do if I was you? What I would do is, I would study. I'd watch a video and it's actually called my top 10 tips for brand new property investors. So watch that video. I've spent a long time on that video getting it right. So watch that video and that will answer all your questions there. Someone said, so that's 17 Wealth, shout out to you. I know we spoke quite a lot in the past, so I shout out to you, bro. And he's messaged me saying, you're a top man, mate, what inspires you? So what inspires me is creating wealth for my future family, for my people around me, and for myself, being the best version of me. So this is not all about money, this is about, everything. My mental state, my fitness, my wealth situation, creating a life that I want to live in the future. That's what motivates me and inspires me. So I'd say luxury lifestyle. When I see big landlords, so when I'm just bored at home, if I want inspiration, or generally if I'm just bored, I'll just type in UK landlord, biggest UK landlords. And I just look at these guys and I'm thinking, how did they do it? What kind of lifestyle are they living? And how can I do the same thing? big developers. I'm studying those. How did they jump from doing small deals to bigger deals? I'm lucky enough to have someone I'd class as kind of a mentor or as a friend, Anthony Leville. Shout out to you if you are watching. He helped me so much, even on smaller stuff like, Luigi, I think you should do this, I think you should do that. I listened to his advice. He's doing what I basically want to do, which is bigger deals. So it's great to have these people around me. So he definitely inspires me. Developers in general, people that are building large complexes, they inspire me. And I'd say my mum inspires me a lot because she's worked so hard for her whole life. She definitely makes me feel like I can't slack. She showed up every single day for her job and actually rose up in her own job. She started off as a teacher, now she became a head teacher from working her way up. That's inspiring to me. So yeah, 17 Wealth, appreciate you. And then we've got from Ben Colomarino, best first property investment with 10K. Right, 10K, best investment property, I'd say a 5% residential mortgage. You live in it and you rent out 1 or 2 of the rooms. I'd say do that. Get in a good area, buy something that you can add value to. Maybe you've only got 10K now, but that's enough to get you the house on a 5% deposit on a residential. And then when you get more money in from your job, from your side hustles, from your business, you can actually do up the house a little bit and it will then be worth more. So you've created more equity. But you need to find a great deal. Again, don't just buy the first deal you see. Don't buy the first property you see. Study how to find good deals. So you know what you're going to buy is actually going to make you money in the long term. Buying a great location, try and get a good deal, something that's discounted or something that's for a great price. So don't rush it when you're buying it. If you've got 10K, you might be able to still get a house with that. You might just be a few grand off. Maybe you need about 15 and you should be good to do a residential if you've got a good job and you've got good credit. So guys, I hope that helps. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.